Good morning, guys. So I'm going to do the video presentation of what I would do if I were there. We are working in lesson 1.9, analyzing a multimedia argument. You're going to need to be able to visit YouTube and listen to some videos on this. I will play them on here. So this recording, I know you can't see me, but probably better that way. I'm walking you through and I'm going to show the videos and play the videos and just make sure I give you as much as I possibly can to do this assignment. So you're interpreting multimedia arguments. You're analyzing how informal graphics and text can work together to develop an argument. And you're going to write a short analysis of the combined effect. So that definitely will be done today. You're responding to some text-based questions, but actually I'm going to respond for you. And I need you to see how I respond and think about what it is you're doing in your short answers versus what I'm doing. And that's how I consolidated this lesson for you. Instead of giving you all those questions that you're going to have to answer, I kind of skipped you right to that short analysis, the analytical paragraph. So you need to see how I've done these responses and these one-sentence summaries. You need to see how I've done those and think to yourself, how can I get from where I am to where she is? All right, so in the slides I provided a walkthrough of this assignment. I've really shown you each question, how to answer that question as you work through the multimedia. Because we're trying to consolidate our work to get caught back up with our intended curriculum map. This week you will be taking one more summative assessment inside College Board, along with two writing two analysis. This is a practice analysis, but you'll be writing two other analysis that will count as a summative assessment. So let's go ahead and get into this. So connecting claim and evidence, the three sentences below are part of an argument developed by filmmaker Shiho Fukada. Japan has an aging problem, sentence 1. It has one of the oldest populations in the world, and it's just going to get older in the years to come. So connecting the claim and evidence. If this is Fukada's central claim, what types of evidence do you think she could provide to support it? So now instead of just reading on or listening on, I'm providing prediction. And a way you could answer this is Fukada could provide statistics showing a growth of adults aging 55 plus, and how that number dominates the overall population of Japan. A graph illustrating this statistic would provide a solidified visual representation. Anytime you can see a graph with, the statistics drawn out, really helps for you to see what's going on. So as you know, writing a persuasive argument is not all about stating a claim and providing adequate evidence, which y'all typically do decently. Writers also need to persuade you to care about the topic. So how might Fukada inspire you to care about Japan's aging problem? And when I thought about it, this is what I came up with. Fukada could appeal to her audience's empathy by providing a series of scenarios that represents the physical weakness that most people of that age endure. I don't know about y'all, but I have 90-year-old grandparents that they have a hard time getting around. It's really sad to watch somebody that I once seen walk just fine, run fine, work fine, and now they can barely move. She could also mention the elderly's cognitive decline. Just a fancy way of saying how, their thinking ability their brains are slowing down. My grandmother shows signs of early autism. Her short-term memory is very almost non-existent. She'll ask you the same question 3 times within a matter of 5 minutes. And it's sad. It's sad to watch and go through that. You have to be very patient with them. Along with the decline in the economy due to the amount of jobs opening with not enough citizens to fill them, since the majority of the population has reached their retirement age. So, how might she inspire you to care? These are the areas that I thought she could use to make you care about the particular problem. So, like I said, these are 2 questions I should have asked you, but I did them, and I want you to see how I did them. I started off with her name. I used rhetorical verbs here. So really take this in as much as you can and take some notes as to what you can do to start bettering your short answer responses. All right, so we're going to watch the first 10 seconds of the video on this page. You can click here for the link. And we're going to answer the question, how do the images and audio affect your response to Vakata's claim? So all of what you're watching is going to be on this page. There's 3 videos. So when I release you to do both other videos that you need to watch, you'll know where you're going. But this is the one we're going to start in. That's my dog dropping his bone. I apologize. Let's get back in the video. So how do the images and audio affect, like as you're watching it, it's making that effect for your response to her claim? The brooding and somber music playing as images of adults who are clearly over the age of 65 has made me a bit worried. The images make me think about my own grandparents and how we can take care of them because there are more of us in comparison. But if the majority of the population is adults who shouldn't be working anymore, I'm left thinking, who is working for the country and who is taking care of the elderly? So that's what I came up with that question. And really it's my thinking, and I just take my thinking and I've learned to take my thinking and place it in sentences that are complete and full and make full sense when you read them aloud. Reading your stuff out loud really helps you. So if you do the assignment, you don't want to submit it in my class, go home, read it out loud. Okay, I do like this, or no, I want to change this, and then submit it there. You can do that. That's perfectly fine. So it says, notice the relationship between the text and visuals in the second and third frame. Okay, so here's the second frame. It's the elderly man, where it says it has one of the oldest populations in the world, and it's just going to get older in the years to come. Now there's several. How does the transition from presenting a single face to presenting multiple faces relate to the message of the third frame? And it's just going to get older in the years to come. The message presented with the many faces, after just seeing individual ones, helps to drive home the idea that this trend is not going to stop. It is going to multiply, which will place Japan in economic jeopardy, thus placing many men, women, and children in dire living situations. Am I being a little melodramatic here? Probably. But it sounds good and it works. Sometimes you want to be a little dramatic in your writing. It makes people pay attention to your writing more. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We don't want you to be a dull writer. We want you to really kind of go after it. So when it's time for write for FSA or write for anybody, especially even a letter of intent, if you want a job and you have to provide that letter of intent, yours should stick out in some way, shape, or form. Now watch the entirety of the first video on this page. It's a 56-second video. While remembering Vakata's original claim, I'm going to answer the following questions. Which part of the claim was supported by the evidence in the video and which part was not? So if you need to go back to the original claim, which were these 3 sentences. Japan has an aging problem. It has one of the oldest populations in the world, and it's just going to get older in the years to come. She's answering 2 of these, and she's not answering one of them. So that's what I have to look for when I watch this video. So what can Japan do? Very neat there. So I basically saw the whole part of Japan has an aging problem based off the baby boomers that were born in 1965. And I saw how the problem's going to progress with the growing graph that they gave me. But the one thing I didn't see was the fact that they didn't provide any evidence towards how Japan's one of the oldest countries in the world. So there's nothing about that. So there's no worldly comparisons. The video provided a growing graph that depicted the age problem, showing how the baby boomers are now 65 plus and represent 38% of the population. It's actually kind of wrong. I should probably change that, and I probably really will. When I first watched the video, I didn't see the whole, where the baby boomers were at right now, but it should say in 25 years that those that are 65 older represent 38% of the population, because that's how far in the future the graph went. Seeing this visually places a heightened perspective on the aging problem. The video did not provide any evidence in regards to Japan being one of the oldest populations in the world. And then I actually go a little bit further and tell them what they could have used. A side-by-side graphic comparison to another country would have helped provide evidence for this latter claim, meaning the after claim. Analyzing an image sequence. Look at this graph from the video and analyze the following questions. What do you notice? What do you wonder? And what story could this graph tell? So I will focus on one sentence that sums up what this graph, and I will try to use the language of graphs while also incorporating language from the text. In this graph, the 38% of people older than 65 is at the top of the graph, which in comparison to the bottom portrays just how significant the elder population is and makes me wonder just how the ages are represented from newborn to 50 in the story of the graph. So I know that the age is like newborn to however the oldest person is, and that the line in a minute is going to show you where the 65 plus year olds are. But you got to think above them, everybody below is under 65. You've got your 50s, your 40s, your 30s, your 20s, your teens, your children, and your newborns. So I'd really kind of like to see, exactly where are they falling out on this graph. So consider Fukada's decision to alter the graph by highlighting the 65 plus segment of the projected population in red. How does the altered image relate to the text of the screenshot? If this future happens, it will be unsustainable. And I answered this in the way of, if you look at the highlighted portion of the graph and image, the prediction of the graph's growth The same pattern continues with the mass of the population being over the age of 65 in comparison to that of the adults, young adults, and children. The pattern continues, the overall population itself may cease to exist. So as you see over time, people have had less and less children. That's what's going on here. Less and less children are being born for whatever reason. And if that continues, obviously the bulk of the population will continue to be the older generation. A GSE written analysis. So this is what you have done this for. And I'm going to write one for you. But this time you can't take mine and copy and paste it in your way and change some words and some sentences around to make it your own. What I'm writing about is going to be completely different from what you're writing about. So if you've previously written an analysis of a single rhetorical move, but today you will consider how multiple consecutive moves show the gradual development of an argument. You're going to read the description of a GSC paragraph on this slide, and then examine the next slide to see the example of this. So a GSC, write a general sentence about the overall purpose of Ficata's video, a general sentence. Write 2 or 3 sentences providing specific evidence and explaining in detail how this graph progression serves Ficata's purpose. Write a closing sentence addressing the intended effect, the result on Ficata's audience. General for G, specific evidence for S, effect for E. GSE written analysis. So, through a series of graphs and text, Ficata shows how the elderly in Japan will eventually overwhelm the younger population. General, very general sentence. One graph that she uses shows that the 65 and older segment of the population is projected to make up 38% of the population in the year 2065. Ficata then highlights in red the part of the graph that represents the 65 plus population, warning through text, if this future happens, it will be unsustainable. It's my evidence with my explanation. The graphic depiction of the statistical data paired with the dire warning leaves her audience feeling a sense of urgency to find solutions to manage the general imbalance. So, this is what you're doing for class today. You have to watch both videos, A Bot to Watch Over Me and Virtually Able. Select a moment in either video, your choice, to be the subject of a written analysis. Use the GSC paragraph structure to organize your paragraph. Establish Ficata's general purpose in the video you choose. Supply specific evidence in the form of details of a few moments from the video that serve that purpose, and then comment on the overall effect of Ficata's audience. And you're going to write this paragraph in this assignment. So, think about it this way. The first video you watched can be viewed as an individual argument Ficata developed to persuade her audience to believe that Japan's aging problem is real, and to care about the issue enough to want to answer her final question, so what can Japan do? The next 2 videos on the Pulitzer Center site, A Bot to Watch Over Me and Virtually Able, advocate for technology as a potential answer to that question. Okay? And that is your last slide. So when you go over to the next button, you are in U1 L1.9. And you've got a little bit of stuff written here just in case you need just a little bit more direction. Just more direction. Here's another link to click the videos if you need it. Okay. Use the following suggested GSC sequence. Okay. Establish her general purpose, supply specific evidence, and then comment on the overall effect. You may begin your paragraph right there. And this has to be submitted today. This should be done today. All right. I'm sorry I'm not there, guys. I really am. I hope that this helped with instead of you just kind of going through the slides on your own. And if you have questions, email me. I will have you on GoGuardian as much as I can while I can. And hopefully I'll get to see y'all very soon.